Hey, thanks so much for clicking that play button. This is part 2. I am Alexia, joined by my rapper CEO and our same guest from last week, and we are here to break down who the official GOAT of rap is based on our agreed upon criteria from last week's episode. If you haven't heard it, I suggest you listen before continuing this episode for continuity and clarity. Keep in mind, this list and tonight's discussion are only our ideas and educated opinions on the matter. None of this information might hold up in court, but we are willing to go to the bank with it. But before I get too far into this or let our guests reintroduce themselves, I need to tell you really quick that a lot of this podcast is actually a re-recording because the first time around I had a major technical issue and was unable to recover literally half of the audio. So if you catch any hiccups in our conversation, hopefully not, that is why. So please forgive me. Moving on, let's hear from CEO and our other guests and then jump right into the GOAT conversation.
I'm your boy CEO, and we're joined here again with our guests, Tyler X, and Cruz. Gentlemen, please reintroduce yourselves for the audience.
What's going on? I'm Tyler X. I'm glad to be back in the podcast so we can finally figure out who the GOAT is.
Yep, same here. Chris Cruz, getting ready to find out who the number one greatest of all time will be.
Undisputed. Anyone listening, your lists are wrong. And this is the official list from now until the end of time. This is it.
Awesome. Thank you guys again for listening, and thank you guys for joining us again to talk about it. All jokes aside, this is our informed or agreed upon opinions based on the criteria we established together last week, so understand this is no way an actual awards ceremony. Okay, disclaimer, do not sue us, please. So just as a refresher, I will repeat the list of qualifications we agreed upon last week. And they need to write their own stuff, their lyrics, including the levels, rhyme, understandability, relatability, storytelling, transparency, and authenticity. Their impact, legacy, sales, specifically cultural impact. Their timeliness, does it age well? Their adaptation and versatility. Their delivery or confidence. Their respect or street cred. They needed to have at least 3 classic albums. And their duration in the game. So consistency and relevancy, minimum of obviously 10 years. So obviously this individual rapper needs to fit into each of those mentioned criteria to even be considered. Each of us were to come back this week with 5 rappers who we feel fit the model and hash it out until we find a winner. So we're going to discuss who fits that title and try to fully agree on who the GOAT of rap is.
All right, that sounds good to me. What about you guys? We're on agreement on that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, so since we're keeping up with the trend of ladies first, Alexia, we're going to let you give your list first, but before you give your list, I think the best way for us to do this would possibly be King of the Hill style. Only reason is because based on the criteria, I only think there's going to be a select group of rappers that are going to meet that. So I think we're going to have some repeating contestants on all of our lists. So once we figure that out, I think then the common denominators are the ones going to be the definitive ones there. Then after that, we're basically going to make them go head to head with one another and basically debate who stays and who goes until one makes it all the way to the top.
Okay, so how are we going to decide who goes head to head?
We're going to do it randomly, so names out of a hat. Because I think if we're particularly selecting certain artists, I think that's going to give certain people a disadvantage.
Copy that. Okay.
Yeah, so I think in all fairness, the best way is to do it randomly. All right, Alexis, so who are your 5?
Okay, well, as far as we all know for a fact, top of my list is Eminem, obviously.
That's crazy.
I also had Jay-Z, and then I had Mike Jones, E40, and Fat Joe. I totally kidding.
Yo, I almost fell out my chair, bro.
That was a good bluff.
My eyebrow just raised so high.
I was gonna
wild.
leave. I was like, I'm out.
I just had a little bit of anxiety, actually.
I was like, that list went down fast.
I expected a funnier reaction, but the crickets were hilarious enough. Yes. I'm dead. No. Anyway, for real. I did have Eminem. Um, but actually, I did have somewhat of a hard time making this list because the hardest category that I had to fit everything into was the 3 classic albums one, because I didn't know this off the top of my head, so I literally had to look it up, and maybe making this list was harder for me to solidify that because of that specific criteria.
Yeah, that was definitely something I struggled with too. It's like I would get a lot of 2 good projects, but not a third often.
Yeah, that bullet point kind of limited me. I have to say, choosing five was tough. I'd be fine with just 3, but okay. Eminem and Jay-Z for sure. And then, I don't know, I put Kanye, Kendrick, and Freddie Gibbs.
Alexia, one I would like to say about your list, unfortunately, one of them actually has to go because of rule number 1. Writes their own stuff. And I think we established on the last episode, Kanye does not write his own stuff. He has a ghostwriter.
Really?
Yeah, we did bring that up in the last one.
Damn, I must have really tuned that all the way out. Because to be honest, I do have a big dislike for him due to his narcissism, but I didn't know who to just throw in this list.
We got a spot for CEO.
Look how that worked out.
Here we go!
I also have no idea who Freddie Gibbs is. Honestly, I looked up who has 3 classic albums, and I picked a random name just to complete my list to make it 5 people. I've never heard of this person
That's
before,
good.
so.
Wow, that is
Sounds
wild.
like there's 2 spots for CEO.
Oh, shit. Compromise.
Off to a great start.
All right, I'll give my list. For me, my 5 rappers would be Eminem, Nas, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, and Lupe Fiasco.
Very cool.
Lupe Fiasco.
Lupe has 3 classics.
I would say Lupe has definitely 3 classics, if not at least 2.
Classics based on who or what then?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say Lupe's classics for me personally would be his first album, Food and Liquor, then his second album, The Cool, and I was going to say you could even debate his latest album that just came out, a classic, or you can even say Tetsuo and Youth, which would be another one. So that's kind of where I'm standing with it, because I would say at least those 2 are definitely classics, but based on how everybody else feels, the other 2 could be debatable, but I've heard them being thrown around. This is the best album of the year, and this year a lot of people have said that about the recent album Lupe has put out.
I think I'm willing to allow it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I've got Jay-Z, I've got M, I've got Lil Wayne, I've got Andre 3000, and I've got Kendrick Lamar. And I definitely think the hardest criteria was the 3 classic albums, because a lot of artists that I initially had,
Same, exactly, yeah.
they had 2 classics. For instance, Biggie, he had Ready to Die, and his other project eluded me right now, but there wasn't a third.
Life After Death.
Life After Death, yeah. And I couldn't find a third classic. A lot of people had 2 great and a bunch of goods. So a lot of DQs happened. So yeah, that's my list.
Now, what about all the people commenting, but Andre doesn't have a solo project?
Yeah, I think when we discussed the criteria, we ran into that sort of conversation of, as an artist, a solo project, was that necessary? Because for Outkast's 3 classics, I had Aquemini, had AT Aliens, and I had Speakerbox / Love Below.
Yeah.
And then you can argue sort of 2 more projects that go into that. So I think body of work speaks enough. Plus, then you take into account all of the features, the verses he's put out. So that's how he made it onto my top 5.
Okay, so last week we did discuss the solo work aspect, right? So I guess I would say I accept.
I guess he's in.
He made it.
Chris?
Sure. So I would say I agree that 3 classics was definitely a hurdle for this, but also trying to fight the urge to make this a list of favorites, and I try to be objective and say,
Yup.
look at the criteria, say I think these people are the GOAT. So my list goes Jay-Z, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Nas, and Kendrick. So those are my 5.
Alrighty.
Seeing patterns.
Yeah, look at that.
No CEO.
Yeah.
Well, CEO's actually above the list, but that's another conversation.
Hashtag CEO has got to go.
So I had Kendrick, Jay-Z,
Of course he did.
Black Thought, Eminem, and Doom. And I wrestled with Doom for a while. He's my favorite rapper.
I knew he was going to be on the list for you.
I didn't
Sorry, you said Kendrick, Doom, Black Thought, and what?
Jay-Z, Eminem.
Oh, okay.
And CEO.
Shut up.
The CEO's got to go. And so, yeah, I wrestled with that he wasn't on my list for a while, but the more time I spent thinking about it critically, I think he deserved to be there, even if that's at 4 or 5 on my list. Yeah, any objections there for anybody? Audience, weigh in the comments.
No, man, it's
I don't know his work well enough to say whether or not he deserves to be in this discussion.
I think Black Thought, similar to Three Stacks, you have to consider the Roots albums, and I think he's definitely one of the greatest for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to put Black Thought on my list, but I did not see his name come up on the classic albums, the 3 classic albums that I looked up. That was really like messing me up. Seriously.
Yeah, I definitely think there's question marks on Black Thought, but I think it's enough body work to be in the conversation.
Okay, so just a quick recap. Jay-Z, and Kendrick are literally on all of our lists, so safe to say they will be a part of the game. So I've already put their names on these pieces of paper. And we also had 2 votes for Lil Wayne, 2 votes for Nas, then Lupe, Andre 3000, Black Thought, and MF Doom.
I think Lupe's got to go.
I think Lil Wayne and Nas definitely got to go on if they were already on 2 people's lists.
Right. I think those 2 stay, and the rest of them we put into a little hat and hash it out to get the 5th. Or is that already 5?
Should I put all of these names in the hat, or is there someone that shouldn't be in there?
I think he's trying to say that we need to get
What do you mean?
everyone who had 1 vote sort of figure out who's making it into the conversation and who's out.
Okay, so based on this, then we collectively have a top 5 already.
Oh, okay.
The repetitive votes were Eminem, Jay-Z, and Kendrick, and then Lil Wayne and Nas had 2 each.
Okay.
That was easy.
Yep, sounds good to me.
cool.
Kind of what I thought it was going to be.
Great. So for our listeners,
Basically.
sorry for the mini tangent. So moving forward, our 8 criteria were writes their own stuff, lyrics, impact, timeliness, confidence, respect, 3 classic albums, and duration. And the top 5 were Eminem, Jay-Z, Kendrick, Lil Wayne, and Nas. So we will randomly select 2 at a time to be compared side by side and eliminate them King of the Hill style via CEO. Thanks for that. Okay, so I have all the names in here. I am mixing them up. Oh my god, wait. I dropped one of the names on accident, and good thing I noticed, because it obviously would have ruined this whole premise and like screwed everything up and been totally unfair. Okay, so first up, we're going to have Lil Wayne versus Eminem.
This podcast is just stressful. I'm not having a good time anymore. I gotta be honest.
We're going to make some people angry.
Damn.
It's funny too because as soon as that got pulled, I started thinking of the classic songs with Wayne and M on it together, and now they're just like elite verses from the 2 of them going head to head.
Yeah, X, I'm going to let you make the argument because I think of all of us besides Cruz, you were the most familiar with Lil Wayne's catalog. I'm not going to sit here in front and act like I know Lil Wayne's whole catalog back and forth, but I do know M's, and so...
So I think this comes into a discussion of, right, the criteria was to have that 10-year career, but now we're talking about sort of peaks. 'Cause I think the only argument that can be made for Wayne is peak Lil Wayne from the Carter 2 to right after Carter 3, where he was on top. Every feature, just putting out verses after verses, remixes, mixtapes, couldn't be touched from I think that's 05 to 09.
Yeah.
Whereas M had, I guess you had 2 different runs like that. You have the Marshall Mathers LP to Eminem show, and then you had, what was it? Recovery, where he sort of came back. And then you could talk about both of their fall-offs, right? They're not the same artists that they were when they first started and had those peaks. But I'd argue that Lil Wayne's peak was higher than M's. So his And I think the impact on the game was very similar because a lot of Lil Wayne's sounds from back then are so normalized now. But when he was at the top, he was the only guy really doing it at that level. Right, a lot of his flows, a lot of his styles of punchlines, double entendres, and things of that nature weren't as apparent. Whereas for M, I feel like there's definitely a whole generation of Eminem style artists that came afterwards, but it almost fell into its own little niche pocket. Whereas Wayne became more commercialized. So I think, it's definitely a hard battle. I don't know how anyone else feels about that.
I don't think it's that hard. Pause.
So then,
Damn.
God damn. So then, do we have to? I think when it's kind of pretty much even in one or two categories, we have to move to another one, right? So let's talk about.
Well, no. Alexia.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Wait, slow down.
He's talking about the criteria.
A
The
different
criteria.
category of the criteria, right? If
Okay.
2 and 3 are pretty much matched,
Okay.
I mean, then we kind of have to move down the list, right? And so, what's the versatility of Eminem? Is he always doing his own thing? Is Lil Wayne always doing his own thing? How are they adapting? How are they changing, right?
Ooh. Okay.
I'm not in Lil Wayne's head, obviously, but I know he writes his own stuff. I know he's been in the game since he was 11 or whatever. Like, he does check off all the things on the list. The only thing I want to say is, in my opinion, he acts like he doesn't really care about the craft. Like, we know he goes into the studio and freestyles pretty much, right? And then sometimes he'll, come up with some profound bars, but it's almost as if he doesn't respect the art of hip hop. Whereas M is always writing, always reading. He lives and breathes hip hop, as opposed to Lil Wayne, who comes off as more commercial in the sense that he knows how to profit off it and keeps that rockstar lifestyle, or at least portrays it. And I could be wrong. And it's like I'm going to walk in the booth and I'm going to say some shit. And then I'm going to have to re-listen to myself and learn my own lyrics in order to make a music video for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely hear that argument inside. And I think, they definitely represent different lanes of the art of hip hop, right? Eminem's more of a backpack rapper, whereas Lil Wayne's a lot more of like that trap style, what's popular now kind of rapper. I think that, one thing that Wayne has going for him that M doesn't is the people that came under, I guess, say, Wayne's umbrella, right? Without Wayne, we don't have Drake, we don't have Nicki, we don't have anyone in that Young Money kind of lane. And I think when we were talking about the criteria, that was a factor. So I definitely think...
Fine, but don't disregard that, especially back then, Eminem's come up was during a time where he got hardly any consideration at all because he was white.
Would that not be impact and legacy?
No, I'm not throwing race into this, just saying he jumped through way more hoops even to be considered on the list. No one wanted a white guy to be a rapper, let alone be good at it.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
cultural impact.
Cultural impact. I think that's all in there now.
Okay, well, I'll say this. If we're going to talk about impact and legacy as far as on M's behalf, Eminem has influenced several rappers that was actually on a couple of our top fives already. And if we're going to go basically comparing, I mean, you have that song with Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Drake, and Eminem. That was when Eminem kind of came back out after not being relevant for 3 or 5 years, and he kind of bodied everybody on that song.
I think that the distinction is Eminem has influenced more rappers, maybe. Lil Wayne has influenced more movements, right?
Yeah.
So which one is more important?
I don't know.
That's the magic question.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
I will say, looking at the list of the the timeliness, versatility, whatever, I can't speak too much on Wayne, but there's some Eminem that has not aged well.
I would agree with that.
He's got some timeless classics for sure, but there's some, you listen to Marshall Mathers LP, you're like, oof, there's some language in there, buddy, that doesn't fly.
And that was going to be my next question, based on the catalog, because Wayne's been rapping for forever as well. So if we're looking back at their old catalog and how it holds up today, based on that, let's use that as a reference point. whose catalog holds up more, M's or Lil Wayne?
I think it speaks volumes that all of us are admitting that we don't have that much to actually say about Lil Wayne. Clearly, everyone knows who he is, but we don't care enough to know his discography. He may have a few good bars, but not a lot of memorable verses or like IG captions. You know what I mean? He's like all over the place.
I mean, I'm with you.
I mean, I think different strokes for different folks. I mean, I would disagree with that. I think, but you bring up an important thing. I think most people's grandmas know who Eminem is more than they know Lil Wayne. Maybe like anyone who's 80 knows Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg and Eminem, right? And so Eminem's definitely a bigger, and he reaches farther. But in terms of the artistry, I think they're a lot closer than that. I think that there is a lot of care and storytelling and technique put into Wayne's verses.
Really?
It's just that the things he raps about or the words he uses, you know, I think they're a lot more similar than you think. You know, you think of early Eminem.
Okay, if we're talking about the timeliness of it, exactly what you're saying, it's taking away from the timeliness.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I think
what Tyler's saying, it doesn't take away from his timeliness, but Wayne speaks to a certain demographic and audience in hip hop, where Eminem kind of has more of a mainstream appeal for other reasons. As why he, like, you may hear him in other areas, but Wayne, you can't discredit him just based on his lyrics and that the fact that your mom doesn't know who Lil Wayne is, but she knows who Eminem is. Like, that doesn't matter. I'm sure some of these people never heard the Nas song. Are we going to say Nas ain't one of the greatest, though?
That's a fair point.
I hear you, but we are going down a list of criteria, and it sounds like 3 of them, Eminem has Lil Wayne beat.
So, yeah, why don't we just go through each of the criteria, and everybody put your vote in as to who's got it. And then by the end, hopefully it's not a 4-4 push, but hopefully we have some sort of majority.
Okay, that sounds good. So let's go down the list together. First one is writes their own stuff.
I think that one cancels out, right? That's the same.
That's even better. So there's no tiebreaker, or there's no tie possibility.
Okay. So let's vote on lyrics, levels, rhyme, understandability, relatability, storytelling, transparency, authenticity.
That's another tie, I think.
What?
Okay, I was gonna say I'll give that to Eminem.
Yeah, I was gonna say embodies him, pun intended.
I think it's closer than you think, but I'm gonna give it to M. I'll give M the edge.
No, I agree. I think it's close.
I would agree, but it's very close.
Yeah, they were talking like A and A minus kind of deal as opposed to like A and C there.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
It's so close. That's why I had to just put it as a tie. I'm like, it's so close.
Yeah, so
okay, Eminem for the
M's up 1.
Okay, so now we have their cultural impact, legacy, sales, etc.
That's Eminem all day if we're going to throw sales in there. Like, that's M.
I was going to say Wayne if we're throwing cultural impact in there.
You'd give the edge to Wayne on that?
I mean, M had a cultural impact, though, when he first came into the game, though, so let's not sleep on that.
Yeah, no, I'm not sleeping on it. I definitely think it's close, but I give the edge to Wayne on that.
This is a tricky one because 3 of the 4, impact, legacy, cultural impact, I almost want to call it a draw. But then there's sales on there, and Eminem, obviously nobody beats Eminem in sales.
Which I thought we took out last week.
That's what I thought, too.
Yes, so I was kind of wondering, too.
Yeah, that's why I was shocked to see it. But I was like, seeing that, I'm like, well, if that's the case, M beats everybody.
No,
then.
that was a subcategory. But
Right.
when we consolidated the list, it was actually the header. I think when we broke it down, it wasn't specifically dollar amounts. It was deeper than that. But sales was the main point, followed by impact and legacy.
Oh, that's not what I have here. Okay.
Right.
Okay, but I repeated this list at least 5 times
So
so
we-
far. And now that Eminem is up to bat, we want to remove it.
Well, we had 2 votes Wayne. Tyler and Tyler both said Wayne.
I'm going to go with M.
Yeah, I'll give that to M as well.
Okay, so we're saying Eminem takes this one.
All right, 3-2.
Okay, so it's 2-0.
2-0 M.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
All right, number 4.
So timeliness, age well, adaptation, versatility.
I'm going Wayne.
I'm going to go with Wayne as well.
I think I will, too.
Y'all bugging.
I have to go with Wayne. I think versatility seals it down.
All right, so it's 2-1. M still up 1.
Correct. So delivery of confidence.
This one's tough.
That's actually really
Yeah.
tough.
I said
That's
draw
hard.
too. Like we can't even.
That's almost like writes his own stuff. That's kind of just...
Draw. On to the next.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And then respect, street cred.
That's Wayne, bro.
Yeah,
That's
Wayne.
because
Yeah.
because Emma that's not that's not even
That's Wayne all day.
That's
That was a crazy for the culture moment.
yeah.
For the culture.
Okay, so 3 classic albums. Do we base it off of who has more, or?
I mean, to me, it's the Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem Show, and then I kind of struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I had Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem Show, and Recovery for
That's what
M.
I had too.
Oh, Recovery. You're right.
And then
you're right.
I had for Wayne, I had Carter 3, Carter 2, and then No Ceiling. You can argue Carter 4, Carter 5 as well, but those are the 3 projects I had.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I had the Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP, and Recovery.
So both fit the criteria. I guess we should choose based on who has more or which album was more successful head to head.
I was going to say, I think this is also a tough one because I think they go like head to head. Like you go Eminem Show versus Carter 3, you go Carter 2 versus Marshall Mathers LP, you go Recovery versus the Last Wayne Project. So, like if you went head to head with all those.
Okay, so does everyone else agree that this is also a draw?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. This is the tiebreaker.
This is crazy.
Listen up, folks.
So now we've got duration and consistency, relevancy. Obviously, they've both been in the game for way over 10 years, so we're only talking specifically consistency and relevancy.
I'm getting anxiety right now.
Yeah,
Hey, seriously.
I'm never coming back on the podcast.
This
This
is
is a bad
tough.
time.
The pressure's on.
I think what's tough for me in the consistency realm with M is that I feel like his fall off was just so drastic, going from being at like top of the game to what do you do in M? And you can argue that peak M was better than peak Wayne, but I feel like the drop wasn't that drastic in terms of that. Like Carter 5 isn't that bad relative to Carter 2, Carter 3. Whereas like I don't even listen to Eminem projects now. So
Let me say this before I ask the next question. Would you say Wayne also had a drop, a slump at some point in his career also?
yeah, I'd say that.
Wasn't he in jail? Does that count?
I guess so.
I guess so, yeah.
You know what I think what it is with Wayne is that every time there's like a drop where he falls out of relevancy, he drops another project and then comes back into relevancy.
And by relevancy, no, I guess that's cultural impact. Never mind.
Because like I feel like after Carter 4, it was like no one had seen Wayne, and then Carter 5 came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, oh wow, there's actually a lot of bangers. The Mona Lisa, Uproar. There's a lot of tracks that people actually commercially loved and like critics loved, and then disappears again. And I don't think there's been another project since, but that like brought him back into that kind of light. Like I said, I can't really tell you a recent, probably last 5-year M project that I was like, whoa, this is it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of songs here or there maybe, but as far as a whole album,
I really liked Kamikaze, but Music to Be Murdered by, I like, if I were to listen to it, I'm sure I could bring in some stuff, but it isn't very memorable to me. That's what I'll say.
interesting.
I will say, when these names popped up, Lil Wayne versus M, my gut instinct was like, well, Eminem for sure, but Tyler X is kind of bringing me over to his side here, I gotta say. Making some good points.
This is breaking news. This is crazy.
It's a tougher conversation that I think the people were ready for.
Weren't ready for.
stressed.
Yeah, no.
I agree.
Alexi, it's your time to shine. You gotta fight for your boys right now.
Talking all this shit.
Okay,
That's right.
I don't want to sound biased because I obviously love Eminem, but in regards to the fallout or recovery discussion, I feel like Lil Wayne's recoveries are only him regurgitating another album. So like his lows were never as low as Eminem's. And banger or not, yes, he is talented. I never denied that. But in Eminem's case, his comebacks are more transparent too about where he was. So these bounce backs are way different. Lil Wayne looks like he's just like, I'm still here, happy as ever. While Eminem is like, I was at rock bottom for real, and this is what it was like. Let me show you. He was literally talking to us, not at us.
I think, but their goals are different, right? Like, if Lil Wayne's goal, and I only half agree with that, but I think if Lil Wayne's goal was to be transparent and talk directly to his fans, and he would have done that, but that wasn't what he set out to do.
But that's why.
But hold on, but if Eminem decided to come out braggadociously, then that's what he would have done. It's like, it's just two different decisions. I don't think that their goal for the albums, one outweighs the other, you know?
I think to the statement you made, I think that ties more into like category 2, the authenticity, the transparency, like that raw, uncut realness. And that's definitely true. When he came back, he was just like, I've been down at the lowest valley and I'm back up to the mountaintop. But I think, like we said, it was sort of a push there with the lyric capability of sort of, because they are in different lanes, it's hard to side by side compare the two. So we said it was just...
That's just it. I don't find him relevant, like, at all. Maybe he's been a bit more consistent than Eminem, but if they went bar for bar, like a rap battle...
So Eminem's early stuff, he's not... He's being very sarcastic. He's making up stories. It's not necessarily transparent.
It's not even that. Like, you guys are going album for album. And I bet if we went song for song, our works in year for year...
And those early albums were all on our list of top 3. And so, Eminem was great when he did that. And now he's changing his goal. It doesn't necessarily make it less important. The distinction is the distinction is the lyrical content is overall weaker in more recent Eminem projects, versus as Lil Wayne's consistency manages to keep that relevancy at a more consistent basis, I think.
Don't forget, we're looking at this as a whole. So even though they existed in the same time period, we have to compare their contributions individually if we're here to find the greatest of all time. We can't be focusing on the timeline as much as we are. The train of thought I'm trying to get across is it shouldn't matter what era they were in to be the GOAT. Going back to how you guys were talking about in 2006, and you're telling me Lil Wayne had a better year, so he wins. I think that Eminem would cream Lil Wayne, when we remove this way of comparison. I think Eminem wins because it's not a shot-for-shot basis.
Oh, rap battle is no contest. Eminem beats everyone in a rap battle. Yes. I 100% agree with you if this wasn't category 8, which is about duration, consistency, and relevancy. I think everything you said applies to the first 7 holistically. I think number 8 is requiring us to think like that,
Why? If Biggie was on this list, how can we say he's not consistent because he's dead? But he's probably undeniably better than everyone that made it to our list in the beginning that didn't get the spot in the hat. Do you get what I'm saying? I
agree with that. I think, if Biggie had 4 or 5 more albums, I think he'd be here. Again, we can only think of 2 classic albums that he has. I think there's other reasons why he's not here. I think I hear what you're saying. This is a tricky one.
Well, I think also it comes down to taking this vote because it seems like Alexia and I have reached an impasse as to who we got. So you take us 2 out, there's 3 people left, and let's go head to head. Everybody's just gotta...
Yeah, I guess that's what we have to do.
Because we've only gotten to the first of the GOAT debate. We haven't even got to any other matchup, and we're already...
Sweating.
Yeah.
Anxious balls.
He has a point.
We're already 38 minutes in.
Jesus.
Man. So... we're going to go around and vote on who we think for criteria number 8, yeah?
Yeah, duration, consistency, and relevancy.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming Alexi's going Eminem, I'm going Lil Wayne.
Fuck.
Oh, boy.
Jesus.
So it's up to you 3.
Specifically based off duration, consistency, and relevancy. Gotta go with my man CEO. Nah, never. I gotta say,
yeah, baby.
No, no, he has to be in the game for 10 years. Sorry.
Oh, you're right.
I'm alright. I've been in there.
Yeah, you old.
All right, let's get the vote going.
Who has a coin? I'm gonna flip.
Well,
damn.
Well, who wants to start of the 3 people who have to vote?
Tyler's.
I definitely don't want to go last. That's too much pressure.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote because I don't want to be the tiebreaker.
Little Wayne.
No. Yeah, I was going Wayne also.
Wow, really?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm surprised also.
I am not happy about what just happened. I am upset.
Consistency is sticking out to me.
Then CEO doesn't even need to vote, I guess.
But the people want to know. No, don't give him an out. The people want to know.
Yeah, I'm surprised myself.
This is crazy.
So I'm gonna go with CEO. No.
Yeah, you're surprised by that, right?
I am. Now I'm going with Lil Wayne myself.
Wow.
No.
This is getting a lot of downvotes when this comes out.
Yeah,
and
I didn't see a 3-0 win there.
My heart.
I'm sweating.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I fought for you, man. So 3 categories. We have Lil Wayne and 2 for M. That means Wayne advances to the next round.
I'm stunned, honestly.
Wow.
And I contributed to it. That's
I can't.
crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all traitors.
None of us are happy about this, but
Now let's just get the rest of this over with. This
this is terrible.
Doesn't seem like you're that unhappy. I'm unhappy.
This hurt.
Whoa. I think we can definitely.
You gotta respect the list, okay?
Barely made it.
I'm trying to respect the list.
Alexia,
This
you
sucks.
you can't say that because you don't listen to Wayne, so you.
Neither
so
do
you. Can't really
you.
say it.
I'm gonna start listening to some Lil Wayne right now. Take my victory lap.
Alexia, I'm just as disappointed as you are, but also it had to be done.
Doesn't seem like it.
But also, anyone listening, remember this is based on the 8 things we're all in the next diss track though. We made it.
Yeah, we made
that
it.
episode.
Yeah, oh man.
I gotta call Wayne, tell him to get his bars ready to defend my honor.
I don't want to be here anymore.
This sucks.
Yeah, because you all know Wayne would lose.
This has already taken a turn I did not expect. I didn't expect M getting knocked out in the first round.
I am
but
sweating.
Here we are.
And coming at us on Kamikaze too.
Serious.
I think the time in between the 2 episodes, we all thought it would be M and someone else on the list.
More or less, yes.
And we were all ready for that conversation, and now it's a monkey wrench.
So the next name I'm pulling out of this hat is Nas. So Lil Wayne versus Nas.
Ooh.
Shut up.
I'm sorry.
Keep in mind he's biased though.
I got receipts.
Okay, fine.
Even if it was M going against Nas right now, M would be out right now as well.
Again, gut instinct tells me Nas, but let's go down the list and see what happens. I've been surprised before.
Okay, writes their own stuff.
Yep, they both write their own stuff.
Yeah, both write their own stuff, yeah.
Okay, lyrics. Levels, rhyme, understandability, relatability, storytelling, transparency.
Nas.
Yeah?
Nas, bro.
Yeah, I think that goes to Nas.
How did Lil Wayne
Yep.
beat Eminem so easily then?
He didn't. It was a push. It was a 2.
We are 45 minutes into this.
All right, sorry.
What do you mean easy?
Alexia, you've been hella disrespectful to Nas.
Whatever. Sales, cultural impact, legacy.
I think I'm going Wayne.
Nas. Okay.
And I feel gross saying that. Like,
yeah,
I don't feel right saying it, but based off
Shit,
of those.
man, it might have to be Wayne. I agree.
Yeah.
This makes me sick, but yeah, I agree.
I think if we're having this discussion, not in the year 2022 and it's like 2012, it'd be a different statement. But especially seeing the impact of everything that's transpired over the last decade in the game, it's hard to argue Wayne hasn't made a bigger impact than Nas.
This is a fucking insane world we live in.
It doesn't feel right.
Okay, so far we had 3 votes for Wayne, and CEO's upset that he declined to comment.
I guess he went.
I guess he went.
Speechless.
So right now, Nas took the second category and Wayne took the third, moving down the list. We skipped CEO because he was MIA.
Hello, can you guys not hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Okay, what the heck? That was all right. All right, so what I was trying to say is this, is on number 3, I'm still going to go Nas. I know you're saying that, okay, if we're going to go 2012, but recently, Nas, we've never seen this in any rapper's career this late in their career. Nas won a Grammy at 47. His last 3 albums, you can even say those are classics. The ones that he's done with Hit Boy, King Disease 2, and Magic, all great albums. And that was all 3 back to back.
So I have not listened to any recent Nas project, so I can neither confirm nor deny that. When I went through the Nas's 3 classics,
Oh, you bugging. Bro.
I had
You bugging.
Illmatic, It Was Written, and then Life Is Good. So I agree.
If you haven't listened to those last 3 albums, Nas has had a renaissance that not even Jay's having. And like no one has done that late in his career. He's about to be 50. 3 classic albums again, and he's dropping another one next week.
Wait, don't jump around.
Like, I'm sorry, Nas takes that, bro. And then cultural impact, I mean, all I have to say is Illmatic.
Oh, no, never mind. You're still talking about category 3. Okay, my bad.
No, yeah.
Unfortunately, that still won't change the ballot. Wayne's got 3 votes.
What I have to say is I think that a lot of, similar to Biggie and Tupac, I think a lot of the legacy and impact is in relation to the other person, where I think, especially early on, a lot of the legacy and impact is we lost Big and Pac, and now we have Jay and Nas, right? Yankees, Red Sox, right? It's like two sides of the same coin, and I think a lot of the mythos and legacy of that is based on another person, whereas Lil Wayne, he was just him. It was based on himself.
Interesting point.
Nah, I would disagree with that. Because I don't think Nas's mythos is based or tied to that of Pac in Big. I mean, he actually beefed with Pac during the time.
No,
when Pac was
no,
still
no.
alive.
It's based on Jay
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, honestly, you know, when Jay made Takeover, people were definitely looking like, this might be it for Nas, right? Because he really wasn't as relevant at the time. So it was kind of like that beef did the best of both worlds for each of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it kept them both in the conversation of, okay, they're both amazing. But at the time, it was kind of like, all right, Nas is falling off. This might be the chance to push him away. And he was able to come back strong. But yeah, it's very much Jay-Z helped propel him back into the top, I think.
Okay, so everyone's sticking with their votes, yes?
I hate this.
I think so, yeah. Again, it makes me sick again, but yes.
Okay, so let's move on. Timeliness. Did they age well? Versatility.
Nas again.
Yeah.
Nas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so given that renaissance that was not known about by me, I guess I'd have to say Nas. If these are critically acclaimed projects.
Yeah.
At least two of them are, yeah.
Okay, so everyone agrees then Nas for this one.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, now their delivery, confidence.
I think they're different lanes.
Yeah, that's hard to
Yeah,
quantify.
definitely different lanes.
Is it a draw or do you want to break it down?
I'm going Nas once again.
I'd call it a draw just because it's,
I'd call it a draw.
I think they cancel out, yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's more of like a yes or no type of thing. Like, do they do it? Yes. And that's
Right.
So is it safe to say moving forward, this category as well as writes their own stuff, we can skip because none of these rappers would even be in the conversation without those. So we don't need to quantify or compare these two items at all. So I'm just going to skip them both from here on out.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, gotcha.
Sounds good.
Okay, now we have respect or street cred.
That's Nas, hands down.
Ooh.
I think it's got to be Nas.
God.
think
I gotta be Nas, I
I think.
think.
It's Nas.
Yeah.
Unanimously Nas
think it's
again.
Nas.
Bet. He's so happy, I know.
CEO is emphatic about this. This man's got God's son tatted on his stomach right now.
Okay, so 3 classic albums.
Nas again, bro. Like, what are we talking?
Let the woman read.
Bro, like, this is like this, and look, and with respect to Wayne, but this isn't even a conversation.
know,
We talk about 3
man.
classic albums. Nas has Illmatic, It Was Written, I Am, The Lost Tapes, Godson, Hip Hop Is Dead. Then he has,
Stillmatic.
Stillmatic.
you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, he has all that, and then he has Godson. Then all the King Disease that just came out. Like, come on, Nas.
So my question on the at least 3 classic albums, is that a discography combination or conversation about who's got the better discography altogether? Or was it just you needed 3 classic albums to get into the conversation?
You needed 3 to be on the list, but we need to discern within this top 5 who has a better rap sheet, pun intended. Like, just to get on the list, you obviously needed a minimum of 3, but now that we're here, who did it better?
Okay.
I'm gonna give this to Nas because I think.
What are we doing? What are we
Slow
doing
down,
here right
Sia,
now?
slow down. It's okay. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this to Nas because I think, not as a piece of media with a collection of songs, but as an album, thematically, sonically, etc., I think Nas wins. Lil Wayne might have a 15-song album, and 10 of them are great, but as an album, as a complete set, right? Like, if you're watching a movie and 3 scenes are great, but the rest are just okay, it might not be a great movie. But if every scene is perfect, then it's a great movie. And I think Nas albums have more of that than Lil Wayne's albums.
Okay, Chris, X, what do you think?
Nas gets my vote on this one as well.
Yeah, I think I have to say Nas here, and it's really hurting my
He
soul.
just almost fell over.
Yeah, like I'm actually I'm crying a little bit inside because like Wayne's discography has definitely got so many classics in it, but if we're going shot for shot, project for project, Nas has a literal, CEO just mentioned 10 projects kind of deal. Whereas for Wayne, I can only mention like 6 or 7. So through sheer volume of reputable projects, it's going to be Nas.
And I don't want to break your heart. Well, I do because you got rid of my boy M. But right now, Nas already has 4 Ws. So we could talk about the last category, but even if Wayne takes it, it's still 4-2 Nas. So we can totally talk about it. But keeping the time in mind, I say Nas just takes the win and we keep it moving.
Yeah, I think we just move on. It is breaking my heart, but It is what it is. Just gotta accept and move on. I do think that there is a conversation about the duration, consistency, and relevancy, but considering how long we've gone for 2 rounds, let's keep it
For the
going.
record, if we did number 8, it's still Nas. Just saying.
All right, no, because now we're doing it because it's not. It's Lil Wayne. Sorry, Alexia. It's Lil
Oh
Wayne.
my God. You guys.
But he has 2 points.
Okay, so Nas advances. Let me pull the next name.
This is some bullshit, man. This sucks.
Yeah, this is actually shaping up to be wild. Wow, it hurts so much.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do Nas versus Kendrick.
Nas.
Kendrick.
Oh, yes, I'm happy that we went here.
All right, this is good. This is good that the hat went this way.
Yeah,
in
'cause
retrospect.
Yeah. So let's jump right into
Yeah.
lyrics. So levels, rhyme, understandability, relatability, storytelling, transparency, and authenticity.
Nas, bro. Hands down. Hands
Oh my God,
down.
again.
I don't think it's hands down. I don't think it's hands down at all.
I don't know about hands down.
Yeah, I don't think it's that different.
I think it's really close, but the issue here is that Kendrick is the puppy of the group, so to speak. So
Exactly.
Nas has done it consistently for longer at that lyrical capability, so he gets the
Yeah,
edge
that's a
here.
great
But
point,
I don't have
actually.
a time machine to go in the future to see Kendrick 10 years from now still spitting at the craziest level.
Yeah.
So I think it's Nas, but it's not by as much as CEO is trying to make it sound.
So yeah, once again, this podcast brought to you by CEO's Got to Go.
On the list, baby.
Hurts, doesn't it? So far, we have 2 votes for Nas. Are there any counter arguments for Kendrick?
It says levels here, right? And I believe that Kendrick's storytelling and rhymes have more levels. But I think out of the bullet points we have here, I'm comfortable with giving it to Nas. But I would have to think about that for a while. But let's just say Nas for the sake of the listeners' time.
Okay. Chris, do you want to add anything?
As wild as it may sound, there's part of me that wants to call this one a draw between the two.
I forgot that was an option.
It's lyrics, and like to Tyler X's point, Nas has done it over a longer period, which we can get to later in the list. But lyrics for lyrics, I kind of want to say they're both A+. I can't really pick one.
If I start dissecting To Pimp a Butterfly, I feel like that's worth 2 of any other rapper's albums in terms of levels and storytelling. It's like it's tricky.
It feels like we're having a battle right now between the old savvy veteran and the young rookie on the block. And obviously, this is relative, right? These are both guys who have 10 plus years in the game, but it's so hard to compare the two. So
Yeah, I would agree with the statement about To Pimp a Butterfly. Definitely an amazing album, but Illmatic. Like, that's literally all I have to say.
You know what? I think I just solved it. I think Kendrick, a lot of that storytelling and levels comes with the music, which we disqualified as a factor. And so because for the most part, Nas's production is more simple, and he's still at that level, I'll give it to Nas. Make sense?
Sure.
yeah,
All right, so Nas gets this one. It was super close, but let's move on.
MC versus artist right there.
Yeah.
Now, their impact, sales, legacy.
See, this is another one that
This is Kendrick.
I think you have to give it to Nas because the legacy
Yeah.
is just so much longer and greater.
Yeah.
It's
No. But Legacy.
It's a disadvantage.
No. Check it. Legacy isn't just about the length, right?
Pause.
It's about the potential
Wow.
It's about the potential impact, right? Like, To Pimp a Butterfly is often rated as a top 20 album of all time, regardless of genre, right?
Okay.
Or you have something like Good Kid, Mad City, or even you have something like the newest album,
Mr. Morale.
It's around in the Big Steppers, right? And leading up to that with The Heart Part 5, I think those things are rooted in things that are bigger than hip hop, and so culturally it transcends hip hop.
I mean, look, if we're gonna talk about To Pimp a Butterfly and the impact of that as well, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm being a dead horse, but Illmatic is one of 25 audio recordings that is preserved and picked by the Librarian of Congress. Like, that's how impactful that album is. First hip hop album to get 5 mics in the source, and he's still here. Like, Nas has had impact so many times throughout his career. You know, but I'm gonna go to the beginning.
I don't know that the Library of Congress of the United States is while as prestigious as that is,
like
Right.
okay, the library.
Like I feel you, and if that happened to me,
Facts.
I'd be hyped the rest of my life. I'd tell everyone I met on the street. But also, I don't know that that's the best metric for this conversation. I don't know whoever put that in. I don't know if they could have the level of conversation we're having now. You know?
Yeah, I think the idea of cultural impact, if we're talking hip hop culture or like, I guess the conversation like black culture and like just the culture that stems from hip hop, and it feels like what you were saying before, Tyler, was that Kendrick's music has just impacted so many things beyond the scope of hip hop, whereas Nas's impact in hip hop is so legendary that, you know, it's so hard to have the argument, right? Because at the end of the day, to any point that says CEO can go Illmatic, and it's like, okay,
but I think
like it's a get out of jail free card basically. Like, sick, you got me. I can't say anything about Illmatic. It's a certified street classic. Okay.
Right. I think that we have to briefly define what is culture. Is this modern human culture? I don't know that it's just black culture, right? I think it's majority black culture, but the Puerto Ricans are right there the whole time. How does disco and funk influence this? How does rock with Run DMC and Beastie Boys influence the culture? I think the culture is a lot bigger than what we see every day, and I think Kendrick is more far-reaching with that, right? I think Nas has his staples, and that's just there, right? Like other countries think of the U.S. and they think of McDonald's, right? McDonald's is, you know, there's a lot of other restaurants, but you think of McDonald's when you think of Americans, right? Like you think of Illmatic when you think of hip hop, sure, but music culture, human culture as a whole, you know, I don't think the average person past 2005 could sing many Nas songs. Rap fans could, hip hop fans could, and I think going forward, and granted things have changed, I think going forward 15 years, I think more people, you'll see the effects of Kendrick more. You have to almost be a fan of hip hop to really get Nas.
I think when I was making my list, I put Kendrick 5, Nas 4, just because Kendrick, again, it just kind of felt wrong putting him above Nas, and Kendrick being the newest guy of the group, it just felt like number 5 was a good spot for him. But when I was thinking about the criteria and where to put everybody, I was like, Kendrick, as far as cultural impact, I think, you know, he did the soundtrack to Black Panther, and to me, like, that's huge, like, for a lot of different reasons. And I was like, that by itself might just cement his spot as like a cultural impact more than we're saying for Nas. Because I agree, you could say Illmatic, and that's gonna win most arguments of like, yeah, Nas cemented his spot with his first album, and he's here to stay forever, and I love him. But cultural impact, I think just for that reason, it's got to go to Kendrick.
That's a valid point, bringing up the Black Panther soundtrack. I completely forgot about that when I was looking at the discographies.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point, and I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective on it, but as far as like cultural impact, and yeah, it may not have as much crossover appeal, Nas, to people who aren't accustomed to hip hop, but what we're talking about is hip hop, the culture of hip hop. And I remember Nas really shook up the game when he dropped his album Hip Hop Is Dead, and a lot of people were kind of coming at him, like trying to like do this new resurrection or renaissance of hip hop. They're like, nah, it's not dead, because of what was going on at the time. And like Nas was kind of like one of the OGs.
I think Kendrick has that as well.
You know,
what's that verse he did? The control verse? He had
Control.
the same
Oh
story.
yeah, control verse is crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that's what I'm saying. Like, did this?
And I think it did the same thing. No.
Yeah, no, it definitely did, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this makes it hard because they both have moments of impact to the culture. It's just really like, how do you quantify whose impact was greater?
I guess we're saying, I guess we define the culture differently then, and that's where we're getting mixed up.
Yeah, I think after hearing all sides, initially I was like, it's got to be Nas. I think I'm Team Kendrick on this. After hearing the whole body of work be spoke about, so I'm gonna go Kendrick for impact.
Same.
Again, this feels
this
feels so gross. I feel sacrilegious saying
I want
this.
you guys to listen very carefully. If I wake up tomorrow, next week, next month with a text saying, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" I'm gonna fight you. This has been the worst. It's like killing your children. It's like I can't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Kendrick for this.
it's like, do I want to keep my brother or my granddad? Why do I gotta choose? Oh man.
All right, so the two Tylers and Cruz, all Kendrick.
Okay.
Me, I'm gonna go with Nas.
So I think right now it's 1-1. One for Nas on lyrics and then one for Kendrick on impact.
Okay, so Kendrick won that one. So yeah, you were right, Tyler. It's 1-1 so far. So the fourth one is timeliness.
I mean, come on.
This man said, "Come on."
Age well.
CEO is
adaptation,
really
versatility.
Nas's son. This is what this is.
He's been paid off.
No, the only reason, I don't know, I sound like a broken record, but I literally feel like that particular like criteria lends itself more to Nas, unfortunately for Kendrick, just because he has so much more time in the game.
Here's what I say. I think timeliness. I think adaptation. Oh my God. Adaptation and versatility clearly go to Kendrick. He raps in so many different styles over so many different types of music.
So does Nas.
Not
the same level.
Not like Kendrick though.
That's fair.
Kendrick's got different voices. His versatility is definitely bigger.
I agree with that, but that's not to say that Nas isn't versatile at all. He still is. He's adapted.
But correct.
Yeah, he needed the versatility to get into this conversation. We're saying we're splitting the hairs right now.
I think I agree with you with timelessness for the most part. I think.
Yeah.
Age well. I think
Nas again.
It's hard to say because there's not enough time.
You have to future forecast.
I would say that the way the world is now, where everyone kind of listens to everything, versus back then where genres are very segmented, I think that people going forward would say, "Oh, these earlier Nas albums feel very of their time," whereas the production on many of Kendrick's albums have a longer shelf life. Like Tribe Called Quest is probably the greatest rap group of all time. They sound like they're from the 90s, right? Even their most recent project in 2016 has that boom bap New York feel to it. I think some of Nas's later things have less of that, but because he's in the quote golden age of hip hop, the age well, for me it's fine, but for the average person, I'm not sure where to go with that.
All right, then I'm gonna say this, and I think you're bringing up a good point, and I hate to be like, oh, gonna hit that button again, but if we're going all the way back to his first album and you still listen to it now, Illmatic has aged very well. Like, you could still listen to it and enjoy it, despite how the production quality may sound, the subject matter that he's talking about, the lyrics, the delivery, how he's telling the stories. It still works. Like, it's still like, even if you know that album came out in 1994, it ages better. Like, if you were to compare that album
to Good Kid, Mad City,
LP, to the Eminem show, to Good Kid, Mad City, to anything, like, if we're talking about aging well, that album has aged well. But that's not even the only one of his projects that have aged well. We're only talking about that. What if we start bringing up It Was Written? What if I start bringing up Stillmatic? What if I start bringing up Godson? Those all still.
What if you do? Do it then.
Just saying.
You won't.
And the Lost Tapes, those all still aged well.
So if that's the case, on my list for number 4, I have timeliness, age well, and then I have adaptation, versatility. So within group 4, it seems like it's a 1-to-1 thing, and so I don't know where to go to that. So the first 2 prompts go to Nas, and the second 2 go to Kendrick. So what happens?
Now the 4 of you need to vote based on what you think.
Call the toll-free number Vote no.
I think this is difficult because it's really hard to say with Kendrick how well his like Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, his earlier projects will age 5 years down the future, right? If you pair the timelines of Nas when he first started with Kendrick when he first started, and you let them run sort of side by side and see which one's going to age the best, I'm inclined to say Kendrick's going to age better than Nas will, but that's all potential. Nas has already aged well. So that's where I'm at, trying to figure out which matters more, which is what could happen or what has happened.
We gotta stick to the facts, and the facts are what is that Nas has aged well. Hypothetically, we could say Kendrick is going to, but that's yet to be seen. Nas, we already know.
Okay.
I think within the age well, it has to do with minimum of 10 years, and I think that only applies to Section 80 and Good Kid, Mad City, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if it applies to Good Kid, Mad City yet.
That's 2012.
2012. Okay. Yeah.
So then we go to the 3 classic albums. So we kind of
I think
Nas has 3 classic albums that have aged well. Mm-hmm. And Kendrick only has 1, maybe 2 at this time.
Sorry, so we're
So
just
far.
quickly skipping ahead to number 7. Nas takes that cake just so we can get the
No,
number 4.
that's not not what we're saying. We're saying number 4.
Number 4, I'm going Nas. We're gonna go Nas. Because of the way the criteria is.
I'm gonna say Kendrick, but I understand
Okay.
the reasoning behind Nas. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, you already know my vote.
I'm gonna go Nas on this one as well.
Alexia, what's your vote?
That's irrelevant because Nas won.
But the people want to hear.
Yeah, come on, Alexia.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter because you guys broke it down. So my vote is Kendrick. So number 6 is Street Cred, Respect.
Out. That's a tie.
I think it's gotta be Nas.
I feel like Nas.
Oh, man,
So does street
Okay.
cred mean from other rappers?
I just think in general.
Like the culture?
No.
And the culture meaning hip hop fans? Aretha Franklin.
It was more so respect. So like I guess their respect from
Hands down.
I mean, then if we're going to go based on what Alexi just said, respect, they both have respect and street cred, but Nas has more of that because of his longevity, and Kendrick also respects Nas. Like, Nas is one of the people that influenced Kendrick to rap.
Right. And my only devil's, I would say that people outside of hip hop, current musicians and stuff, have an admiration for Kendrick more than they do for Nas. So I guess it comes down to the same question: which is more important? Is it more important that the scope of hip hop, is that what the street cred is? The scope of hip hop respects him more, or is it globally?
I think specifically with this head-to-head, it is hard to gauge just because Nas checks off all the boxes, but he's been doing it. Like, he didn't fall off and all of these things, but Kendrick is new, so he checks all the boxes too, but because he wasn't able to join the game as back when Nas did, it's a really unfair advantage, even though he is they're neck and neck, according to this.
Yeah, it's sort of like now in retrospect, this list definitely lends itself to someone who's been in the game longer being more considered to be the GOAT. Because if we have these two artists who are side by side, neck and neck in terms of their talent and ability, if one has the longevity, that goes to be the tiebreaker.
Tune in for part 3 when we revise the list.
Which sucks, but it does make sense because it's like we can't speak to the future. So we're talking greatest of all time up until present day. So like if we're looking at it like that, like we can't, allocate the talent that we're going to be given from both of these artists in the next 10 years. All we can do is what they've already given us. And Kendrick has a huge disadvantage for being new, but like that just sort of,
it is.
It speaks to his talent because he is talented, but it's also like, it is what it is. Like you just haven't been around as long as this person. And same thing that you said earlier, X, when if Biggie was still alive, he'd be in the conversation. See, so he's not. So if Nas like passed away, he probably would have not been so neck and neck with Kendrick. Kendrick would have won a couple of these, and it would have been a closer match than this this
So
wipeout
it's
right now.
so it's respect for the longest time is what you're saying, not the amount of respect.
No, it seems like the longevity
No.
plays a role into that, though, and because Nas
Yeah, so
has been around longer,
separate from our list.
that's kind of like an asterisk onto it. Like, it's like, yeah, they both have respect. Nas just has the benefit of having respect for like 10 plus years more than Kendrick.
Yeah, it's almost like Kendrick.
So we don't want to belittle any new artists in any way, but if we're going to say greatest of all time, of course we can't be like, but starting in 2020, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like the amount of respect Kendrick has gained has moved at a faster pace than Nas has gained. However, since Nas has been doing it for so long, even if it was a smaller amount incrementally, it's built into a bigger mass now.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much a little unfair at this point, but that's because Nas hasn't fallen off.
All credit to Kendrick. Like, in the short amount of time that he has been in the game, he has accomplished so much, and it is unfair. But to give credit where credit is due, how many rappers have been along or came out when Nas was around that we don't even hear anything from, and he's still around, still relevant, still putting out music, still consistent?
I mean, I could list 15 rappers from that time that are still relevant, but I think I understand what you're saying.
I think to continue moving it along, my vote's for Nas. Anybody else voting?
Everyone else pretty much, right?
You know my answer.
I still have questions, but if it's a majority vote, I'll just withhold for now, for the sake of time.
Cruz?
Yeah, I think it'll go for Nas as well.
Okay, so moving on, at least 3 classic albums. I mean,
That we already covered that, didn't we? Or what's the score, by the way?
right now it's literally the reverse of what was the last battle. So Kendrick has sales, impact, legacy, but Nas is killing him in all the other categories.
Dang.
So what's the score?
So again,
Two.
it's basically 4
4 to 1?
Nas, Kendrick
Gotcha,
1.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. So at least 3 classic albums,
So-
I think.
I don't think there's any point to go through 7 or 8, honestly.
But that's what people are here for.
Well-
Let's just quickly.
All right,
So
fine.
just do a vote instead of dissect
yeah,
it. Yeah.
just go quick.
Nas.
3 classic albums. I'm gonna go Kendrick. I'm still deciphering as I say that.
As we
Why,
be
but-
heard, that was like good to go.
Yeah, that was-
Kendrick.
Yeah, if I saw you in person, I would have slapped you. Not
Listen, dog, pull up. Nothing here, nor there.
I'd have to go Kendrick because I think as
No dissecting.
oh, you're right.
Cruz.
Ooh, crazy as it sounds, I think I'll go Kendrick on that one.
Kendrick at least got 2 points, and then last category.
There's 3 votes for Kendrick actually for that one. So I guess Kendrick won that one.
So it's 4-2 Nas.
Well, that's actually 3-2
3-2.
because
Oh no! Oh no!
so now we actually have to talk about the 10 years in the game and the consistency.
then come on, what are we talking about?
See, everyone, this is why voting is important. The polls open on.
Go out and vote, everyone.
Vote.
So
Who wants to go first?
I mean, Nas has been here longer, obviously, but like now we're gonna talk about the consistency and relevancy.
I want to talk about relevancy.
Yeah.
Because I think right now, the only artist I think can get away with what is going on, how he does it with Kendrick, is he puts out a project. He will be radio silent for 3 years.
At least.
And still somehow be relevant. It is the biggest anomaly I've ever seen in the game. There's no other artist I can think of who can do that, who can just drop off the face of the planet and everyone's still waiting in bated breath for what's the next thing that Kendrick's going to do. So
That's a good point.
I think for relevancy, it's got to be Kendrick to me. And again, it's just because it's an anomaly. I've never seen anything like that.
I kind of agree with that because I'll see, even when J. Cole dropped his album, was it last year or the off season? I was like, I would go into the comments and see people like, man, now can't wait for Kendrick to drop his album.
God damn.
Right? Like, can we not enjoy what Cole just gave us? Like, we're already like, oh, all right, can't wait for Kendrick to pull up now. It's like that's immediately where the conversation goes somehow, and he's done it consistently every time he's dropped an album. It's just like, here you go, have a classic for you. Like,
Yeah, and then
absurd.
But can I say something to that? I mean, I'm agreeing with it, and I'm not disagreeing. Like, I was one of those people that when he took that 5-year hiatus, I was waiting. I was like, damn, when's Kendrick gonna drop? Every year we're like, oh, he might drop. But I think social media has a big part to play in that as well. It wasn't like that back in the day when Nas and them were coming out. Like, that's a lot more accessible to us now. And
the same conversation as earlier, we can't discredit that, right? It's like the opposite of the Nas duration kind of conversation, where it's like Nas has been doing consistently for longer. Kendrick has been able to utilize that to his advantage, and it just is what it is.
In terms of consistency, Nas has projects much closer together, sometimes multiple in 1 year. Is the consistency just is it about the quality, or is it about the quantity?
I think it's more so like they're not silent for so long where people like almost forget them, and then we're like, oh yeah, I remember he was such a good rapper. I can't wait to hear his album.
I think that's relevancy goes back to that. I'm talking about the consistency of their music.
I was gonna say efficiency, like sort of right. Does Kendrick have a miss? Is there a single Kendrick product that you would say is this is a bad project?
I
don't think so. I'm trying to sit here and think of one.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it as well.
I don't think so either, but if we're going to go that route and comparing discographies, Nas has 15 albums in the game. How many does Kendrick have?
Right.
That's kind of the point, though.
That's why I'm saying
shorter discography with a stronger track record.
Exactly, but what I'm trying to get at also, if we're talking about consistency, relevancy, and it's consistency, just you're putting stuff out, but the quality isn't good, but
that's what I'm asking.
Or you're putting stuff out and the quality is good. Like I said, recently, Nas has just dropped 3 albums back to back, all good. Won a Grammy for one of them.
I'm definitely not arguing that aspect.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Nas is, right, if you look at his discography, it's almost like sandwiched. It's got the front end, when he first dropped the Illmatic, it was written, Godson, that era Nas. Then you have the most recent iteration of Nas. But you can make the argument that middle section isn't anywhere near, like, worth having a conversation about. Whereas with Kendrick,
from Godson 2002 to around 2012, Life is Good. There's good projects, but they're not at the level as the front half and back half.
I can agree with that. That's a fair point.
Whereas with Kendrick, like I said, I can't think of a single project he put out that wasn't of like Kendrick level quality.
The worst Kendrick album is the best album of someone else's career, Yeah,
no, I would agree with that. Yeah.
So I think if we're talking consistency in that vein, I think it goes Kendrick. So I think relevancy Kendrick, consistency Kendrick, duration Nas. So 2 out of 3, I'm going to give that category to Kendrick.
I would agree, and I hate this.
So 2 votes for Kendrick, and what else?
I would give it to Nas still.
Okay, Chris?
Well, I said Kendrick on that one.
This fucking sucks, bro. Now it's 3-3.
Yeah, this is what happened, actually. It is 3-3. So now Nas and Kendrick are still head-to-head.
I have my surprise guest here, Kendrick himself. Come on the mic.
I got Nas with me.
Well, I wasn't anticipating this, so we can't go on to the final round until we eliminate one of these rappers, so...
Or do we pit both of them against the last rapper?
And just have a 3-way battle?
And that's wild. Whoever... No, that wouldn't work. Never mind. I thought about it more.
All right, just speaking completely objectively then, taking my bias out of it, if they're still tied, I think there's still a legacy aspect that still kind of gives Nas a little bit of a one-up over Nas. And it's unfortunate, but the fact that someone that's been in the game this long is still like, we're going head-to-head with someone who's super relevant right now, and they're able to go head-to-head with them still, and we're still like pulling hairs, I think says a lot already on itself.
I would agree with that too, because even though they're super close and Kendrick's talent is like amazing, like we said before, it's just unfortunate that Nas just started first, and again, he's still like putting stuff out. It'd be different if he fell off or passed away, or Kendrick maybe started himself 10 years before he actually did, but unfortunately, as talented as Kendrick is, I agree. I think maybe Nas should just push forward, but Kendrick is definitely like
one of the greatest,
an amazing contender.
Yeah, one of the greatest to ever do it, period. Like, let's not discredit that. Let's not try to downplay that. Like, not at all. He's amazing, but I think based on what we just said, I think Nas advances, but what the rest of you guys think?
I was gonna say I think I'm gonna go to the same camp and say Nas advances for those reasons. And I think if we're having the same conversation 5 years from now, then I think Kendrick advances. But we don't have that ability to go into the future and see what's happening, because I think the trajectory of Kendrick is that he's going to be like sitting there at GOAT status, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, if he's putting out the quality of projects that he is consistently back to back to back, which is unprecedented, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's just we have to compare him right now and what the body of work is
greatest of
right
all time
now.
up until today. Yeah. Right.
So I think it has to go to Nas advancing. Again, I didn't think this would be this tough of a conversation.
This is not how I thought this was gonna go at all. Yeah.
I was not ready for tonight at all.
No.
My heart hurts.
Okay, so I mean it's 3 versus 2, but Chris and Tyler, do you have anything to say before I just throw Nas into the boss fight?
I have a couple of questions about the structure of the last argument, but in the sake of time, okay, I'll just defer.
Yeah, no,
That's some bullshit, man.
When we posed the argument again and it came out tied, it was like, okay, my gut instinct was like, okay, well, let's get Kendrick out of here. All right, Nas moves on. So I'm just going to go with that.
Interesting.
Okay.
The next one is crazy.
Yeah, here we are.
So obviously, here's the fight of the night. Everyone knows we're waiting for this. We've got now Nas versus Jay-Z.
So we'll put on Ether and take over real quick. Yeah. This is crazy.
Pause this podcast, listen to those 2 songs, and then come back.
I gotta take a break. I'm stressed.
Okay, so Nas versus Jay-Z.
Before we go into it, did anyone...
Kendrick, Jigga, and Nas.
Would anyone have said that this would be the last round fight, like preemptively going in? Did everyone think that Nas and Jay-Z...
Based on part 1, I thought it would be M and Jay-Z, but I'm not surprised because this is the other conversation everyone already has normally.
Yeah. I also thought it was going to be M and Hove, and then I'm going to knock out first round.
That was crazy.
Which I still disagree with, but whatever.
I don't think M could have run the gauntlet. I think that's what happened. Is he just got a tough draw where he was going to get knocked out at some point because right.
It would be round 1 or round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, because if he would have went against Wayne, he beat him, that's cool. But the second if Kendrick or somebody else came in, then it's tough all around.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Can't believe here we are.
All right, so the fight of the night, Nas versus Jay-Z. So
this is classic.
We're talking about lyrics, so levels, rhyme, understandability, relatability, storytelling, transparency, authenticity.
Now, CEO, before you start, I want you to take a deep breath. Take some water.
I'm honestly beside myself. I'm really conflicted inside, like deeply. I'm gonna let y'all speak. I'm gonna just shut the fuck up for now.
Cruz, why don't you start it off?
Oh, thanks. Oh boy, this is awful. Yeah, it's one of those things. My gut is telling me Jay-Z. That's where I'm going.
What was that old man noise,
Okay.
Chris?
We're talking about lyrics right now, right?
I'm having heart palpitations right now.
Everything hurts.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on Cruz and say my gut says Hove. I think, and for me, it's I guess with Jay-Z, since his career spanned literal 3 decades like Nas has, but it's been like a different version of Jay every time. And that different version still produced lyrics at that high level, right? Going back to like the mafioso persona Jay, all the way to 444, old man putting other people on the game Jay. He's still been at the top. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, I do want to say I agree. I think like Jay-Z more consistently also like has lyrics that are well over everyone's heads and no one even realizes for like a couple years to come after he like releases it.
CEO's eating up inside.
I am, because I'm letting everybody speak and you're all making valid points. Look, Jay-Z, Nas, I mean, we're literally splitting hairs right now. Like
you made it a hot line. I made it a hot song.
Yeah, but check this out though. All right. Yes, Jay got lyrics. He got double entendres and everything, but Nas got lyrics too, bro. I mean, storytelling is in here. This man has storytelling records for days that have influenced so many people. If you want to talk about like the relevancy or the authenticity and transparency,
those are different categories.
I know, but I'm talking about transparency right now. Storytelling, relatability, understandability, levels, rhyme, authenticity. Like, one thing that comes to my mind that I don't think gets a lot of credit is when Nas responded to that J. Cole record, Let Nas Down, and then responded by made Nas proud. Like, that was beautiful. That was just the
100%.
lyrics that he was saying.
I agree.
When just how he flipped that. Storytelling, I mean, come on. I mean, Jay got some good storytelling records, but I think Nas beats him out on that. Like, definitely. And as far as relatability, I think if we're going to go on that, I think Nas has that a little bit more too. Because how many of us can honestly say we relate with being a drug dealer or the mafioso, the boss type? None of us are that.
On record, I can't just say nothing.
But Nas.
Is this camera on?
But
Sting
Nas,
operation.
But Nas, he's speaking from like a kid from the projects. Like, I'm the child of the ghetto. I'm talking about
I
what
can't relate
see
to
right
that
on
either.
my-
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about what I see from my project window, like from the streets, like my everyday life. I'm not claiming to be the boss of the drug.
They
dealer.
have different goals.
I think with the Jay and Nas debate, right? It's for me with Jay more so than what the persona was, right? It's almost like the mindset when he was in that old school Jay mentality. It feels like very much so when you're like late teens, early 20s, just like taking over the world. Just that's where your mind's at, and then you grow up with him, and like his music, you can feel the growth happening in that. It's just the same. It's the same authentic feel that you get from it every single step of the way, and I think that's something that I don't see with Nas.
You get the same thing with Nas on Life is Good. That's grown man music, what he's talking about. He's talking about being a father, raising a daughter, having a divorce, like a failed relationship. Like, if you want to go to the album before that, he's talking about his mother who passed away and how he wishes he could be in heaven to dance with her again. He has The Last Real Nigga Alive, where he's talking about the whole struggle for the king of New York between him, Jay-Z, and Biggie, and how that whole thing transpired and how Jay-Z tried to take a shot at him when Nas took a break from the game for a little bit to care for his dying mother. And then if you wouldn't even want to go before that album, they literally went head to head. And who came out on top? Nas. Nas beat Jay-Z. He beat him in a battle, head to head.
All right. I think what you're missing here is they have different goals, right? If Nas is talking about his life, that's fine. If Jay-Z has a persona, that's fine. If I make a documentary about college students being stressed out, or I make Star Wars, one's obviously fiction, one's not. They both have their place. I don't think that just because.
No, I get that.
I don't think just because someone can relate to being sad and not everyone can relate to selling cocaine.
No, I'm not saying that. But when he's talking about Jay's music growing with you, Nas's music has grown too. Like, he's matured with his music. He isn't talking about the same stuff as he was when he was a younger kid. Like, you can hear.
I think what he's saying is that for him, Jay's growth is more far-reaching. It's more of a growth.
Yeah, I feel like the other issue with the lyrics is like Nas is a rapper's rapper through and through.
He's the chosen one, like, literally.
But I think Jay reaches a bigger audience.
Jay does reach a bigger audience, but how much does that have to do as far as like marketing and his relationship to Beyonce? Or him, piggybacking or riding off of the coattails of Kanye West. Nas hasn't had any of these other people in his career, and he's still maintained and still stayed. He hasn't had a Rihanna. He hasn't had a Beyonce. He hasn't had a Kanye West, but he's still there. And we literally have before we were talking about, okay, if Wayne and, Eminem went battle head to head, like Eminem would kill him and we're hyping, we're creating this this fantasy scenario, but we have literal proof that these two have went head to head and Nas came out on top. Like, you can't argue that.
And when was that?
This was in 2002, 2003. This is when when Jay-Z came out.
So that's 20 years. So the growth. So even if that is true, which I don't 100% agree with, The growth.
Nah, that's true, bro.
The growth.
But even if that's true, that's them. We need to talk about who wins that.
Holistically.
That's what this
Right,
podcast is.
right.
Also, you made a lot of good points just now for why Jay-Z should win number 3, but we're talking about lyrics right now.
Right,
So,
lyrics.
Who's your vote for lyrics?
I mean, I think we already know who my name is. It's Nas.
I think so.
It's Nas, bro.
Okay, what do you guys vote for?
I got Hove.
Jay.
I got Hove.
Let's keep it moving. So impact, legacy, sales, and cultural impact.
That's
Hove.
Hove.
Yeah.
Hove. Next category.
Yeah, okay. That was pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now another hard discussion, the timeliness, age well, adaptation versus
Let me start off by saying Jay-Z wrote Still Dre. For
He what?
Jay-Z wrote Still Dre for Snoop and Dre. He wrote it, he rapped it in their cadence and gave it to them. Do your research. Versatility.
Yeah, Nas has written songs for
okay.
other artists as well. Like he's written for Dre also. He's written for other rappers also. All right, let's not go there. We're going tit for tat right now.
Are you Nas reincarnated?
I'm just saying, like, as someone who's speaking, who's well informed on this individual, I have to say what I say. Like someone who doesn't listen to Nas's albums or whatever can't really speak on that. So that's what I'm speaking on. You know, like he's done the same thing. So that's what I'm saying. This one is really difficult because we're splitting hairs, like literally.
Right, but which hair is longer? Like to what level? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, then I would say timeliness goes to Nas as well. Like, and aged well, because his music has aged well. Some of Jay's earlier stuff, some of it, I'm not talking about Reasonable Doubt or Blueprint, but the Dynasty, other albums in between that, you know, like, you can't really think of a lot of songs like that really aged too well. You know, like from that, I think Nas has more of that aged better.
Explain how the Jay-Z, like you said some of those don't age well. Like, can I get an not an exact example, but like, can you elaborate?
The Blueprint 2 album, Dynasty, I just think the content of it, what he's talking about, like we're all talking about, right, like the mafioso boss kind of thing, right? Jay-Z was very much like in a gangster lane. If we're talking about aged well, then gangster rap hasn't really aged that well. Like right now, rap is a lot more conscious, more open, more vulnerable.
So is Jay-Z.
I wish it was. What are you talking about?
It is though, and that's my point. Like Jay-Z has that stuff, but he also has a lot of the gangster stuff that hasn't aged that well with it.
I mean, when Jay-Z was out, you had Tribe Called Quest and Pharcyde, and there's always been both sides. Just at that time, gangster rap was more popular, and then now it's less popular.
Gangster rap was more popular, but if we're gonna say that, then are we gonna say 50 Cent's discography has aged well with a lot of the gangster stuff he's talking about? No, and we're talking about how does the music from the past that you made translate to today. And I think Nas has more of that has aged well. I'm not saying Jay has none of that, but I think Nas has more of that.
It's not aged well with relation to what's popular now. It's what's aged well in a vacuum. If I listen to a recording from the 40s, in the 40s it sounded good. If I listen to it now, it's like, this is like, the levels are off, like that's too loud, like this sounds like shit. It's in a vacuum, it hasn't aged well.
Besides the Hard Knock Life, name another song that you remember off of Volume 2, the Hard Knock Life album by Jay-Z.
Crickets.
Nigga, what?
Name it.
Nigga, who?
And because you're talking about age well.
No, that was it.
That was the song. Nigga,
That
what?
was
Nigga, who?
That was the name of the song.
Oh, I'm dead.
Can I get a
Can I get a whoop,
Whoop,
whoop?
whoop.
Okay.
Oof, I forgot Foxy Brown was
ride
on
or
that.
die?
Okay.
But you said name one. We got to keep going. If I
Money
should
Cash
die?
Hose.
No. All right. All right. So then Volume 3, The Life and Times of S. Carter. Besides Big Pimpin', what other ones could you name off of that?
Dope Man.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but like, is what's happening right now? Chris is voting for Nas, and Tyler, and Tyler are voting for Jay-Z.
I don't even think anyone's voting yet. I think everyone's just trying to get clarity as to how you're going to vote.
Yeah, we're trying to decipher through it. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm asking you, like, is that the case? Because we are going to talk about this for probably another half hour. So if that's how you feel, then Jay-Z obviously just advances. So, like, what are you guys saying? Are you literally...
Let's do closing remarks. Everyone, 30 seconds. Go. Who wants to go first?
Let Alexia go first.
No, I'm asking you, like, what's going on?
I was already stating it. We were talking about timelessness, age well. Like, I was literally bringing out examples of certain records that had
Okay,
aged well.
sorry.
that
It sounded
translated
like
to
you
today.
were on defense and the other three were you were trying to convince them.
I'm
That's
not-
why I
Get 'em.
asked.
Actually, CEO, I think what you inadvertently did was made me appreciate the songs that Hove had that did age well. so
Foiled again.
He did have some, but at the same time, like, I'm not saying Jay has none of them. I feel Nas has more than he does.
I think for a general audience, Jay-Z has more. I think for a hip hop fan, Jay-Z has more. I think if you're out somewhere or your phone's on shuffle, I think you get more Jay-Z songs. You're like, oh, I remember this. I listen to this once in a while. It's really good.
yeah, I think I'm going Hove as my vote. Stamp it in, official.
I think what you're saying is valid, CEO, but I think Jay-Z has more.
I think he has more commercial hits, yeah, definitely. But I think when I think of like commercial hits, I don't think that's a good parameter, just because that's marketing, that's promotion, that's,
Partially.
dollars behind it. Yeah, so yeah, that definitely plays a role. I mean, it's a good thing to have commercial hit songs, and he definitely has more of that. But if we're talking about the agelessness and, timelessness, age well, I think they both have that. That's what I'm saying. I just think Nas has more of that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Chris?
Jay-Z.
Okay, so I'm so sorry, CEO, but Jay-Z has 3 votes, so Jay-Z will take that for the win also.
That's fine.
So
I feel like everyone's having their heart broken.
now we're gonna go.
I think everyone
I know.
just unsubscribed. We gotta
Yeah.
Definitely.
next week has to be a good one, guys. Let's talk about our favorite songs and let's
This is literally the last episode of season 1. Hopefully they come back for season 2.
Of this season, I
the
know.
podcast
yeah.
has been canceled.
So let's move on to respect or street cred.
I think that's a tie. That's a tie.
That might just cancel out, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
how
so
to.
draw. Well, we're gonna draw that one.
It's a draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
They both
So
have that.
classic albums now. 3 classic albums or the
Damn.
better.
Oh, damn, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait.
CEO just kind of names a couple of them.
Without looking into it, I would say Jay-Z, but now I gotta go look and do some research to figure this out.
Reasonable Doubt.
Like my
The
gut
Blueprint,
says
Black Album.
Jay-Z.
Oh man, my gut says that too. Let me just double check on my phone.
Yeah,
here.
he has Reasonable Doubt, The Blueprint, and the Black Album. But Magna Carta, Holy Grail, that was ass. Kingdom Come, that was ass.
I don't know about ass. That's a little extreme.
Well, maybe in the top 5, like of the goats. Maybe that's what he meant.
That's a little extreme.
All right.
This man's a little.
This man's upset that Nas is taking the L's.
Yeah.
He's just
I'm
lashing
upset.
out now.
Hard Knock
No, I'm not
Life.
lashing out. I'm just saying, like, those aren't like really good albums, and that was in the later half of Hope's career. When I've already named 3 of Nas' classic albums, but then once again we have this second renaissance where he just released 3 relevant ones, still good. Jay-Z hasn't released an album in how long?
5 years.
5
444 was the last
Yeah,
one.
2017, 5 years ago.
Keep in mind, COVID.
I feel like
Years ago,
that's more of the consistency and relevancy argument than the 3 classic albums.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If we're going to go head to head, I think Jay-Z only has 3 classic albums. I think Nas has more.
Wait. Whoa, slow down there. Reasonable Doubt. What was your 3 list? For
Mine was
Jay-Z?
Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, the Black Album.
You don't think 444 is a classic? You don't think
I do.
I think 444 is a classic.
Dynasty Rock's got some hits on it?
Got some hits, but that's not a Jay classic. He's got a lot of the Rockefeller Team on there, State Property, Beanie Siegel, Memphis Bleak, the Young Gunners.
Okay.
Is that a discredit? 'Cause he
Okay,
has-
so if
No, but the Dynasty album, Jay-Z has literally said that's more of a compilation album. He has literally said that. So because I'm not bringing in albums that Nas has that are like collaborative or the ones that he did with Damian Marley. I'm not counting that because that's a collaborative. I'm talking about a singular album that's primarily just that art. That's just that artist. That's fine if you have like features, but Jay-Z has gone on record and actually said the Dynasty is more of a like.
So is to that point, is Wu-Tang Clan a rap group, or is Odd Future a rap group? Because that's a rotating cast of people, right? Like if I'm a rapper and I'm making my album and I pull in a trumpet player from here and I pull, and I'm featuring Lil Wayne here. It's like that's just part of the album making process, right? Like you pull from other sources to make a body of work, to make a complete project.
I guess if Jay-Z himself said that it's a compilation, that's where this is coming from. It's not like an opinion. He said it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying it because you said it got a couple bangers, but I'm like, okay, just because it got a couple bangers,
I'm not arguing if that's just semantics. We call it a compilation album, whatever. It's still his album. It's not on someone else's discography. It's on his. It's his album.
Okay,
that's
but,
true.
But that aside, I've never ever in my life have ever heard anyone say, "Oh, Dynasty, that's a classic J album." Never heard that in my life. Blueprint, The Reasonable Doubt, the Black Album, those three consistently always come up as Jay's best bodies of work every time. So I'm saying, does Dynasty hold up to those? And I would say no.
So I have some more points to make, but let's go switch to Nas then. What are you saying are his three big?
He has more than that.
Illmatic, bro.
Illmatic, and that one that sounds like Illmatic.
Yeah. Illmatic is one, right? But arguably, It Was Written is a better album. And that was his follow-up album to his debut album. All right?
I agree with that.
So you got that. You got Stillmatic.
Right.
The Lost Tapes. Godson. I think all those are great right there. Like, those right there. Like, It Was Written, Illmatic, Stillmatic, The Lost Tapes, and Godson.
How do you feel about American Gangster, Jay-Z, 2007?
I don't think so. But it's funny you actually say that because I was listening to it. And as much as I like some of the music on there, none of his lyrics on there hold a candle to how he's rapping on the Black Album. If you're gonna go like that,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's not rapping on the same level. It's two different Jay-Z's. Black Album Jay-Z's a beast.
Cruz, X, anyone?
I agree with that assessment.
Or just in general.
Which one?
In general, what's your?
Yeah, I mean, this one, I'm not really opposed giving it to Nas, because in my initial assessment, I kind of had the same three of like Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, Black Album. Those were the three that put Jay-Z on the list for me. 444 was like another that I was like, okay, I love that album. I wasn't sure if it was like widely considered a classic or not, but I really like it. But just the bodies of work that CEO has mentioned, I think I'm okay giving that category to Nas. But again, it's one of those that hurts my heart, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Nas can take the dub there. I'm cool with that.
So is that 3 votes for Nas and 1 for Jay-Z?
Yep, it looks like it.
I guess so.
Okay, so here's the deal. If Nas takes that one, there's one category left. Unfortunately, even if Nas takes that category, Jay-Z still wins.
That's fine. I think just for the fans, we'll just entertain.
Yeah, this is the last part.
We've been this far.
We've come all this way.
May as well.
Take the plunge.
And I'll say this, and then you guys can all say what you want afterwards. I'll just get what I got to say out the way. This one, if I'm breaking it down, duration, it's a tie. They've both been in the game about the same amount of time. Relevancy, I think that's a tie. The only one I think edges it out is inconsistency, and that's Nas. And I only give that to him because Jay-Z hasn't dropped an album since 2017, and Nas has dropped 3 and is dropping another one.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that in terms of the duration, same. I think for relevancy, actually, the point you made is the bigger one, relevancy as an artist. Because Hov will always be relevant in terms of like the culture. He's Jay-Z.
Of course.
He's like the bit like you think of the GOAT and Jay's always on the Mount Rushmore. But
yeah.
I don't think you can argue that the consistency that Nas is showing recently would not put him over the edge against Jay-Z.
Yeah, consistency-wise, I definitely agree. Because again, they got different priorities too, I guess, right? Jay-Z doesn't need to drop an album. Maybe he doesn't feel like he needs to again. He'll just happy to hop on a verse and, you know, show what he can do again. Hove did, you know. But yeah, I mean, relevancy again. Yeah, Jay-Z, like you said, is always going to be relevant. He just, you know, earlier the year put together one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows ever, you know, and we didn't even appear on it, but he made it happen, that kind of thing. So he's always he's always in the conversation somehow through his, you know, his music or his business sensibilities. This one, yeah, it's too close for me to call. I'm gonna give it a tie again.
I'm inclined to agree. I think
Agree with what?
I think you got with what Cruz just said. I think everyone just summed it up really.
Okay. So I mean, technically, then 2 of you voted tie and 2 of you voted Nas.
So then Nas technically takes
So
it.
then
Yeah,
I think Nas
Yeah.
takes it then. Yeah.
Yeah. So then summarizing, there's 3 draws. Jay-Z got 3 and Nas got 2. So after all this time, according to our discussions, our lists, our opinions, and everything else, we think
CEO
collectively that
Is
the
the
GOAT
best.
in rap is Jay-Z.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need to
sorry.
take
That
a
was
shower.
stressful as hell.
This ball of anxiety to come to my initial thought that it was going to turn out to be Jay-Z.
Right. Exactly.
This has been the wildest ride to get to
This was
Jay-Z
just
being
like
the GOAT.
We definitely took the
Yeah.
scenic route, but we
definitely
got there.
did.
No, but still, we dissected it, almost fully. Like, literally all the guts are on the table.
Yeah.
And now we're just
Pause.
sitting here.
For sure.
Wow.
I'm definitely happy that the matchups played out the way they did because I don't think there could have been a better sort of process of getting here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think there could have been a better finale. Like these two,
Yeah.
like have shown it like time and time again. And at the end of the day, like it was stressful. I'm not gonna front. Like I didn't think Nas was gonna make it as far as he did. I always.
What do you mean? You was pushing for him so hard.
Yeah, but that's because as I started thinking about it, when they were talking about M and Wayne, all these other things from Nas started to come up. And as it did, I was like, damn, like, he's hella underrated that a lot of people I don't think really recognize. And I'm like, if I got to be the voice to speak on it, I got to be the voice to speak on it. No disrespect to any of the other artists. Like, Jay's fucking amazing. Kendrick's fucking amazing. M is fucking amazing. Wayne is fucking amazing. But when we go down the criteria, I was even surprised myself how well Nas was holding up. And I don't think Nas would have made it as far as he did if it wasn't for these 3 last albums he just put out. Like, I think that kind of pushed him even a little bit further. Plus, he had the legacy thing going behind him. So it was like, damn, like, that's a hard combination to beat.
I agree.
Yeah, me too. The only thing I don't like about that is, like, if you said if we had this conversation before he released these 3 albums, it would have been a completely different conversation. And it just kind of sucks because he has the legacy going for him in that he's been consistent in the game for so long, but before these 3 albums, we would have to take a lot of those points away. So it does kind of speak to that. Who's the GOAT right now? So, like, the GOAT in the rap game seems to be like that title is not secure.
For sure.
Definitely not. I mean, it's always going to be changing. Like we said earlier, Kendrick could drop something next year and the year after that, and it's just like, bro, he's the guy. He's the one right now. But I got to give my hats off to Hove. I mean, as much as Nas has done and the last 3 albums he just put out, bro, all Hove had to do was put out a verse. And it's just like, yeah, still the GOAT. That's crazy.
Well, I know I'm going to listen to some Nas albums today.
I'm going to bed. I ain't talking to y'all no more.
Yeah,
I ain't listening to
relax.
nothing.
I feel bad for Tyler because he's telling me, bro, this whole week I've been going on 10 to 12 hours of sleep, so I'm going to be a little bit slow. And they just got ran through the gauntlet, stressed out, anxiety. It's like, bro, I can't with y'all.
God help me.
Anybody else have heart palpitations right now? Golly.
Bro, I'm literally sweating. I was just like, this
Same.
was,
Nah,
this was
I
hard.
for real need to take a shower after this. This was miserable. Nah, it was a great conversation. I'm really glad how it worked out, but internally, I'm not feeling great.
Yeah, I'm spent. Alexia checked out after the first round. After everything got checked out, she was like, I don't give a fuck about none of y'all.
So number 5, what was it? It was M. Then
M versus Wayne.
and Wayne took it. Then it was Wayne versus
Nas.
Nas. So
Nas.
So
Took it.
so Little Wayne's next.
we really need to have a face-off between Kendrick and Wayne, but I think we'd all agree Kendrick would have taken it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that says a lot.
yeah, there it is.
Gotcha.
From-
Interesting.
From 5-1, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Kendrick, Nas, Jay-Z.
CEO got to go.
Nas CEO's above all of them. He's above the list.
Now what do we
Damn.
do? I think we solved all the world's problems. Like what's left? We figured it out, guys.
Well,
This
Kendrick's
is it.
top 3. Wow.
It's crazy. I think we're gonna do some
Kendrick,
reverse
Jigga,
stuff.
and Nas.
I think Tyler and Cruz might start listening to some of the newer Nas albums, and I'm gonna go back and listen to the Jay-Z albums where I thought he didn't have any stuff that aged well.
I've heard the new Nas albums.
Yeah, same. They're good for sure.
Well, either way, I think it was an awesome conversation. I thank you guys so much for being here on our show and discussing all this with us for the last 2 weeks. Thank you for all our listeners also for being patient and hearing our opinions. If you guys have something you'd like to add, agree or disagree with, please comment on the YouTube video, which will be out 2 days after this one is released. Don't forget to find us on Instagram if you want to talk to us directly or ask any questions. My Instagram is @LexiaLou. You can find all of CEO stuff on thisisceo.com. And then obviously our guests are so educated, well-informed, great guests. Check out their stuff as well because they do more than just entertain us on our podcast.
Yay! Friendship wins.
So Tyler, why don't you throw your handle out there for the listeners?
So again, I'm a filmmaker out of Westchester, New York at swindlingfilms.com. Instagram at swindlingfilms and swindlingteas, Teas.
Cruising next.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm a visual artist from Queens, New York. I like to draw sometimes. You can find me on Instagram at character_Cruz. So feel free to hit me up anytime.
Cruz, CRUZ, not like a cruise. CRUZ.
Correct, yes.
X?
Yeah, I'm a martial artist from Westchester, New York. I'm at xsmith42, and happy to be a part of this conversation. This was something.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. And I also hate you for putting me through this, but it was great.
I know. I definitely did check out after Eminem got eliminated, by the way.
Yeah, we could all tell. But this definitely was stressful. Once again, guys, want to say thank you for being a part of this. And you know what? I'm glad we did the list before this so we can remove our biases and just state the facts as they are, just looking at it objectively.
For sure.
Nas, I just want to say I tried, my brother, but you'll always be number one in my heart. Actually, number two, because CEO is going to be number one, but that's another
Oh, my God.
conversation.
All right. We're wrapping it up. See you guys next
CEO's
week.
gotta go. Hashtag CEO's gotta go.
On the list.
Anyway, guys, that does wrap up our first season. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing and following us on YouTube. We're going to take a short break, but please stay tuned for season 2. We have so much more ready for you guys.
Hopefully it's not as stressful as this episode.
Facts.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Be well.
Bye.
Gotcha.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Bye. 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 Thanks, guys.